Good morning, friends. Miss Mithril here. Hi again. It is Friday, or shall we say Friday? And that means it's the end of our week. We have talked a lot about shapes this week. And today we're going to talk about one additional shape and talk a little bit about what we use it for. I'm really excited. But first, as always, let us take a look at the schedule. All right, look at our agenda. Let's see, do you remember some of the names of the shapes we went over this week? When they're on the paper, you have things like the circle, you have the square, and you have the triangle. Kind of hard to make a triangle when you got something in your lap. All right. So our schedule for today, our story, and then we will have fun. And then our folktale. Our folktale is going to be a little different today because we finished up our last book of the Tales from Thailand. I hope you really enjoyed those. Oh, I had such a good time. But don't worry, I got something new planned for you today for Tale Time. I think you'll enjoy it. Now, today's story is going to actually revolve around one of the items we're going to talk about today. Here is another shape that we talk about. Oh, you know what? We almost forgot to do time. Oh gosh, what time is it? Of course, we're not going to know what time it is if we don't know what time it is. All right. So, we are still in the hour of 10. So, I'm changing it back from an 11 to a 10. Because if you remember last time on our show, we had to change the 10 to an 11 because it became the hour of 11 a.m. last time. All right, and right now it is 10:11. All right, and see, we're taking that short red hand and we're going to move it back to the 10. Boop. And with it only being 11, the big hand, or the long hand, needs to go here just after the 2. So we do our 5 times table. The 2 represents the 10. All right, let's do our 5 times table real quick together. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. 10, 11 a.m. All right, we are done with time. It's a lot easier, doesn't it? All right, today's story, you might have heard of this one. Gotta get kind of comfy with this one because it's a little long, but it's a lot of fun. We will be reading Horton Hatches the Egg. Do you like eggs? Horton definitely likes the egg. Let's see what happens in this story about Horton the elephant that hatches an egg. Horton Hatches the Egg by Dr. Seuss. sighed Maisie. I'm a lazy bird hatching an egg. I'm tired and I'm bored and I'm kissing my leg from just sitting here day after day. It's work. How I hate it. I'd much rather play. I'd take a vacation, fly out for the rest. If I could find someone to stay on my nest. If I could find someone, I'd fly away, free. Then Horton the elephant passed by her tree. "Hello," called the lazy bird, smiling her best. "You've nothing to do, and I do need a rest. Would you like to sit on my egg, my nest?" The elephant laughed. "Why, of all silly things, I haven't feathers and I haven't wings. Me on your egg? Why, that doesn't make sense. Your egg is so small, ma'am, and I'm so immense." "Tut, tut," answered Maisie. "I know you're not small, but I'm sure you can do it, no trouble at all. Just sit on it softly, you're gentle and kind. Come, be a good fellow, I know you won't mind." "I can't," said the elephant. "Please," begged the bird. "I won't be gone long, sir, I give you my word. I'll hurry right back. Why, I'll never be missed." Oh, what do you think she's going to do? "Very well," said the elephant, "since you insist. You want a vacation, go fly off and take it. I'll sit on your egg and I'll try not to break it. I'll stay, be faithful, I mean what I say. Toodaloo," sang out Maisie and fluttered away. The first thing to do," murmured Horton. "Let's see. The first thing to do is to prop up this tree and make it much stronger. That has to be done. Before I get on, I must weigh a ton." Then carefully, tenderly, gently he crept up the trunk to the nest where the little egg slept. Then Horton the elephant smiled. "Now that's that." And he sat, and he sat, and he sat. And he sat all that day, and he kept the egg warm, and he sat all that night through a terrible storm. It poured and it lightened, it thundered and it rumbled. "This isn't much fun," the poor elephant grumbled. "I wish you'd come back, 'cause I'm cold and I'm wet. I hope that Maisie the bird does not forget." But Maisie by this time was far beyond reach, enjoying the sunshine way off on Palm Beach, and having such fun, such a wondrous, wonderful rest, decided she'd never go back to her nest. Oh dear, this mama bird is not doing what she said, is she? Not going back. Meanwhile, so Horton kept sitting there day after day, and soon it was autumn, the leaves blew away. And then came winter, the snow and the sleet, and icicles hung from his trunk and his feet. But Horton kept sitting, and said with a sneeze, "I'll stay on this egg, and I won't let it freeze. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. Ooh, ooh. So poor Horton sat there the whole winter through. Then it came the springtime, with troubles anew. His friends gathered round, and they shouted with glee, "Look, Horton, the elephant's up in a tree." They taunted and they teased, they yelled. How absurd! Old Horton the elephant thinks he's a bird! They laughed and laughed and laughed. They all ran away, and Horton was lonely. He wanted to play. But he sat on the egg and continued to say, "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. La 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 No matter what happens, this egg must be tended. But poor Horton's troubles were far, far from ended. For while Horton sat there so faithful and kind, 3 hunters came sneaking up so softly behind. He heard the men's footsteps. He turned with a start. 3 rifles were aiming right straight at his heart. Did he run? He did not. Horton stayed on that nest. He held his head high and threw out his chest, and he looked at the hunters so much as to say, "Shoot if you must, but I won't run away. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. But the men didn't shoot, much to Horton's surprise. They dropped their guns, and they stared with wide eyes. "Look!" they all shouted. "Can such a thing be? An elephant sitting on top of a tree? It's strange. It's amazing. It's wonderful. New. Don't shoot him. We can catch him, and that's just what we'll do. Let's take him alive. Why, he's terribly funny. We'll sell him back home to a circus for money." And the first thing he knew that he built a big wagon with ropes on the front for pullers to drag on. They dug up this tree and they put it inside, with Horton so sad that he practically cried. "We're off!" the men shouted, and off they all went, with Horton unhappy, 100%. Up out of the jungle, up into the sky, up over the mountains 10,000 feet high. Then down the mountains and down to the sea went the cart with the elephant, egg, nest, and tree. It's a really big mountain. Look at that. Ooh. Then out of the wagon and onto a ship and over the ocean, and whoo, what a trip! Rolling and tossing and splashed with the spray. And Horton said day after day, "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant, but oh, I'm seasick. 100%. Seasick, do you know what that is? Some people can't handle being on a boat and with the shakiness on it, and it makes them feel sick to their stomach. That's how he's feeling. After bobbing around for 2 weeks like a cork, they landed at last in the town of New York. "All ashore!" the men shouted, and down with a lurch, when Horton the elephant, still on his perch, tied up onto the board that could just scarcely hold him. Bump! Horton landed, and then the men sold him. Sold to a circus. Then week after week, they showed him to people at 10 cents a peek. They took him to Boston, to Kalamazoo, Chicago, Weehawken, and Washington, too. To Dayton, Ohio, St. Paul, Minnesota, to Wichita, Kansas, to Drake, North Dakota. And everywhere thousands of folks flocked to see and laugh at the elephant up in the tree. Poor Horton grew sadder and farther he went. But he said that he sat on that hot, nosy tent. "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. The elephant's faithful. 100%. Look at all this trouble that Macy got him in. He's far from home, he's no friends, and he's still on nest. Then one day the circus show happened to reach a town way south, not far from Palm Beach, and dawdling along way up high, up in the sky, who of all people should chance to fly by but that old good-for-nothing bird, Runaway Maisie. Still on vacation and still just as lazy, and spying the flags and the tents just below, she sang out, "What fun! Why, I'll go to the show." And she swooped from the clouds through an open tent door. "Good gracious!" gasped Maisie. "I've seen you before." Poor Horton looked up with his face white as chalk. He started to speak, but before he could talk, Before he could talk, what do you think happened? There rang out the noisiest, ear-splitting squeaks from the egg that he'd sat on for 51 weeks. Children, that's almost a full year. We have 56 weeks in a year. The thumping, a bumping, a wild, alive scratch. My egg! Shouted Horton. My egg! Why? It's hatching! But it's mine! Screamed the bird when she heard the egg crack. The work was all done. Now she wanted it back. It's my egg, she sputtered. You stole it from me. Get off my nest and get out of my tree. Poor Horton backed down with a sad, heavy heart. That's just not right. But at that very instant, the egg burst apart, and out of the pieces of red and white shell, from the egg that he'd sat on so long and so well, Horton the elephant saw something whiz. It had ears and a tail and a trunk, just like his. And the people came shouting, "What is this all about?" They looked and they stared with their eyes popping out. Then they cheered and they cheered and they cheered more and more. They'd never seen anything like it before. My goodness, my gracious, they shouted. My word, it's something brand new. It's an elephant bird. And it should be. It should be. It should be like that, because Horton was faithful. He sat and he sat. He meant what he said and he said what he meant. And they sent him home happy. 100%. Look how proud that little baby elephant bird looks. Oh, the moral in this story is pretty darn clear. I'd guess you'd say we have cracked open the case of what we learned in that story. Hard work will always get you your just reward. Even though the elephant Horton didn't have the egg, like he didn't present the egg like Macy did, he still worked hard for it. And inside was his new faithful little baby elephant bird. Because he did not falter. He did not abandon that egg. Most importantly, he loved that egg. He didn't just want to be faithful just for the show of it. He cared for it. And he kept it safe. No matter what, no matter how hard it seems, love always prospers. And you always reap what you sow into it. Always. Oh, what a great story. No, there you are. All right, get your checky fingers ready for me. Gonna help me check off the story? Because story time is over. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and down, up, check. Well done. And now the marker has been moved to the fun. We are ready to move on to the fun. And the fun begins now. Now, I'm going to sing a short little song for you. You may remember on Wednesday I said I don't have a whole lot of room to be moving about. I'm going to have to leave the dancing to you. But I'm going to provide you the music. Alright? And how? You must be asking yourself. I'll show you. On my ukulele. You like it? Do you see any shapes in this instrument? Maybe a circle right here in front. Oh, and guess what? It has stars on it too. Those are shapes. And do you see these shapes right here? These tell you about music. This is basically music that you can see. And once you learn how, if you figure out where the music notes go on a piece of paper, you can figure out how to play it on an instrument. I am very new at playing this ukulele. say ukulele. Ukulele. It's a fun word to say. Ukulele. And it makes this sound. Kind of like a guitar, a little guitar, but a little bit more of a higher, charming touch to it, sound-wise, at least in my opinion. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be playing the notes for you, and we're going to have 3 different little dance moves to remember our shapes. All right, the first one is going to be circle, and it's easy. Why don't you go ahead and stand up for me? I'm pretending to stand up. Get up nice and tall, maybe give a nice stretch. Oh, you got plenty of room. Move around any furniture if you need to. You got plenty of room. One way to test if you got enough room, put your arms out like this, and you're going to like this. And if you're not touching anything with your hands, then you've got enough room. That means your body has got enough room too. All right, so for the circle move, it's going to go like this. The hands up, circle, and I'll sing for you. Circle, 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 circle. All right? Okay, that's the circle move. And then we're going to do the square. All right, I'm going to try my best. I'm going to put one arm up like this, and another arm like this. You know, kind of like you're a big tough guy, you know? Put those elbows nice and high, nice and high. Let me see them. All right? And you're going to stomp your feet. Stomp, 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 stomp as hard as you can. You go ska, ska, square. Ska, ska, square. Ska, ska, square. All right? That's square. Triangle, very easy. Bring your hands up, put them together, put them over your head, and it'll look like this, up over your head. And you are going to slide. Get your feet out and slide from side to side. And we're going to go ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, triangle. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, triangle. All right? And let's see. We'll do one more for the star. Star is very simple. All you're doing is you take out your hands like this, spread out your fingers, because those are going to be your stars, and you're going to shake them like this. Shake, shake, star. Star. Shake, shake, star. All right? Okay, let's see if we can do it together. All right? Remember the circle? Hands up. Circle, circle, circle. Oh, very good. All right, let me see your big tough shoulders. Get them up. Ready for the square? Square, square. Stop, stop. Square. All right, last one, or next to last one. Hands up. Point up in the air, and we're going to slide, remember? Triangle. Triangle. Very good. Look at you go. Last one. Remember the star? Get out those shaky hands. Ready? Shake, shake, shake your stars. Shake, shake, shake your star. Shake, shake, shake your star. I'm gonna do a little bit of shaking. Would you shake one more time? Ready? Shake, 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 shake. All right, excellent. Now, another shape we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about that egg. All right, you ready for the egg? Oh, I hear the egg. What? Oh, hey, hey, come on over here. Yeah, I want to help with the egg. I want to help with the egg. Cheers, you doing that thing again. Yeah, sure is. Welcome back, Auntie. How you doing? Yeah. You okay there? Excuse me, friends. I am okay. That came out of nowhere. Wow. Oh, goodness, John. Sick or anything? Oh, don't worry. I'm here. I'm going in. Ready? What? Guys, we gotta go in. Help me. It's Mithril. Oh, no. Auntie. Oh, sorry. You alright? I don't need to go in there? No, you're fine. No germs. think I just choked on a little bit of my breakfast. Ew. Yeah. Hey, you wanted to know. Yeah, that's kind of gross. But I'm glad to know for sure that you're alright. That's what matters. Thank you. Oh. Okay, so, now we got, goodness, friends. So we gotta get that out of the way. You were gonna talk about eggs, right? Yeah. Where's the egg? Right over here. Oh, that's an egg. That's definitely an egg. If I was sitting on that, I'd be super soft, unlike Horton. I was listening to the whole story the whole time. I think I'd be light enough to share. Yeah, you want to show us? Yeah. Oh, yeah, can I? Yeah, sure. Alright. Alright, we'll pretend my hand is the nest. Friends, can you make a nest with your fingers? Cup your hand out like you're holding a baby bird. And we're gonna see Auntie sit on the nest. Alright, you ready? 1, 2, 3. See? No problem. He's still alive. Are you sure? Well, in manner of speaking, I mean, it's whole. It's not cracked or anything. Which reminds me, I have an excellent joke for you. Alright, friends, it's joke time with Auntie. You ready? Sure. What did one egg say to the other when they got caught taking cookies from the cookie jar? What do you think? Quick, scramble! You can use that one. It's patent, but it's okay. Full permission to use AntiBo's joke. Alright? That joke was a joke. Yeah, it sure was. Thanks. Wait a minute. Anyway, we're moving on talking about eggs. So, you guys like to eat eggs, right? Do you eat eggs at home? When do you usually eat your eggs? Huh? Miss Mithril here eats them a lot in the mornings. Yeah, I try to have at least 2 every day. They are very filling. Like if you have a lot of eggs, it's got so much protein in it that they can make you feel full for a good part of the day. It's a great part of your breakfast. Also good for lunch too. Yeah, you like having like egg foo young and eggs. So egg fried rice. That has eggs in it too. Good stuff. Now, here's the thing though. Usually when you're cracking your eggs, they're not this color. What color do you see the eggs, friend? Brown. Usually your eggs that you eat are white. This is a different brand that I got, and I happen to have here in the fridge upstairs. Oh, I see that. All right. Well, cool. But it just tastes the same? Usually they do. Excellent. You said excellent. Yes, I did, didn't I? Don't touch your face. Sorry. So, the thing about eggs is they are a particular shape when they come off the paper, and they become what's called an oval. Can you say oval? Oval. See how your mouth makes that round sound when you say oh, oval. Oh, oval. Oh, oh, oh. But no. Mine doesn't make that. Oh, me, take me to your leader. Me. I'm gonna go back to my seat now. What's next? We're gonna talk about shapes with Play-Doh real quick. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen this somewhere before. And we're gonna go to the table in just a second. I'm gonna show you something really cool that you can do with your Play-Doh when you're playing with shapes with Play-Doh. I'm gonna show you 2 really cool things. So go get you something to get comfy with, maybe a snack or a drink of water. Don't forget to hug and kiss your mommy and daddy. Say I love you. I'll be back in just a minute, okay?
2 years old. We took her to the doctor because she was using the bathroom frequently throughout the day, thinking maybe she had a urinary tract. Aubrey was 2 years old. We took doctor because she was using the bathroom frequently throughout the day, thinking maybe she had a urinary tract infection. When we got there, the doctor was just filling
I can't right now. Duct tape. Duct tape. That solves everything. So, do you see that I taped up the full moon up there? When you're done with art, it's always a good thing to display it and put it somewhere that you're proud to see. Alright. Oh, there it is. Now it's time to check off the fun, because we're done with that for today. And I cannot wait to show you what I have in store for the tail. I see the word fun. F-U-N. Ready to check it off for me? Get your check off fingers. And 1, 2, 3, check. I'm gonna have to touch up those check boxes again. With the tail in its proper place. Alright, this might seem a little odd, but I also needed that to load a little bit. Oh, come on. There. Duct tape. Alright, well, we had a lot of good fun with shapes this week, friends. What was your favorite part? Do you have a favorite shape? For the ball, we went over the sphere. For the square, we went over the cube or box. And finally, for the triangle, a pyramid or a cone. Look at that. I made a yellow triangle. Alright, so, believe it or not, this is my new book. This is not a normal book like with pages and covers and backs. This is what's called a Kindle. It's a device that lights up, and I can adjust the brightness at any time, and it will actually pull up a book for me. And this is the plan for the time being. I wanted to try something a little new. Also, I don't have any other folktale books. I'll work on that though. Unfortunately, right now I can't go to the library because all the libraries are closed because of the sickness going on. It's the safest way to be. But I thought to myself, wait a second, I have access to other books. And a book that's in a device like this is called a digital book. Digital. Can you say digital? Digital. You may be familiar with digital items like your mommy and daddy's iPad or your iPad, the phone. Those are all digital items. Alright, so without further ado, I am going to start today's story. See, this is really cool. So what I do is when I want to turn the page, I just simply swipe like that. And there's the first page. When I'm done with the page, swipe it, and I get a whole new page. All right. This is a folk tale from Ireland, and it's called The Clumsy Beauty and Her Aunts. As we listen to the story, I'd like you to listen very carefully and think, does it sound familiar to you? Because it reminded me of other stories too that we've heard before. There once was a poor widow with a daughter named Ursula, who was as beautiful as a spring day, but as clumsy as could be. The poor mother was the most industrious person in town, and was a particularly good hand at the spinning wheel. It was her greatest wish that her daughter should be as handy as herself, so that she would find a good husband, but any work that Ursula touched seemed to tangle or break in her fingers at once. One morning things were very bad, for Ursula had tried her hand at spinning once again, and once again had tangled threads. Her mother was giving her a good scolding, when who should be riding by but their small farm, but the king's own son. "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, good woman," he said, "you must have a very bad child to make your scold so terribly. Sure it can't be this handsome girl who's vexed you." Now the widow knew that the prince was in need of a wife, and she quickly devised a plan. "Oh, please, your majesty, not at all," she said. "I was only checking her for working herself too much. Would your majesty believe it? She spins 3 pounds of flax in a day, weaves it into linen the next, and makes it all into shirts the day after." "Gracious," said the prince, "then she's the very lady that will catch my mother's eye, for she herself is the greatest spinner in all the kingdom. Will you fetch your daughter's bonnet and cloak, please, madam, and set her behind me on my horse? Why, my mother will be so delighted with her that perhaps she'll allow us to marry within the week. That is, of course, if the young lady herself is agreeable." Well, the woman bundled Ursula up into her bonnet and cloak, and set her off with the prince before the girl could even protest. But as they rode back to the castle together, the prince was so solicitous and kind that she almost forgot her fear of being found out. When they arrived at the castle, the queen came out to meet her son, and was almost struck dumb when she saw a young country girl sitting behind him. But when they dismounted and she saw the girl's handsome face and heard about her incredible feats of spinning, her feelings had changed quite quickly. Ursula trembled under the queen's gaze, but the prince whispered in her ear that if she didn't object to becoming his wife, she should strive to please his mother. So she smiled bravely and made a wobbly curtsy. That evening they all dined together, and the prince and Ursula were getting fonder and fonder of one another. But the thought of spinning still sent a chill to her heart. And sure enough, after they had feasted, the queen led Ursula to a beautiful bedroom, pointed to a heap of fine flax in the corner, and said, "You may begin as soon as you like tomorrow morning, and I'll expect to see these 3 pounds in nice thread the morning after." Then she bid Ursula good night. The poor girl slept little that night, and when she was left alone the next morning, she began her spinning with a heavy heart. Though she had a nice mahogany wheel and the finest flax she had ever seen, the thread seemed to break every time she touched it. One moment it was as fine as a cobweb, and the next as coarse as wool. At last she pushed her chair back, let her hands fall into her lap, and burst out crying. Just then a small old woman with surprisingly big feet appeared before her. As if out of nowhere, she said, "What ails you, you handsome girl?" "Oh," cried Ursula, "haven't I all the flax to spin before tomorrow morning, and I'll never be able to have even 5 yards of fine thread of it put together." "And would you think it bad to ask poor Kolach Kushmore to your wedding with the young prince? If you promise to invite me, all 3 pounds of your flax will be made into the finest of thread, while you're taking your sleep tonight." Ursula was overjoyed. "Indeed, you must be there, and welcome. I'll honor you all the days of your life." "Very well," said Kolach Kushmore. "Stay in your room till tea time, and then tell the queen she may come in for her thread as early as she likes tomorrow morning." Ursula did as she said, and the old woman was as good as her promise. The next morning Ursula woke up to find thread finer and evener than the gut of fly fishers. "What a brave girl!" cried the queen. "I'll get my own mahogany loom brought to you, but you needn't do anything more today. Work and rest, that's my motto. Tomorrow you will weave all this thread, and who knows what may happen," she added with a smile. So Ursula spent another day with the prince, and she was so happy in his company that she almost forgot the task ahead of her. But the next morning, when she sat down at the queen's loom, she was even more frightened than before. Her trembling fingers couldn't even put the warp in the gears, nor use the shuttle. She was sitting there in the greatest grief when a little old woman with mightily wide hips suddenly appeared before her. She said her name was College Cromamor, and she offered the same bargain as College Cushmore. Eagerly Ursula accepted, and great was the queen's pleasure the next morning when Ursula showed her linen as fine and as white as the finest paper. "What a darling!" said the queen. "Take your ease with the ladies and gentlemen today, and if you have all this made into nice shirts tomorrow, you may present one of them to my son and be married to him out of my hand." Oh, how poor Ursula trembled the next day as she sat with scissors, needle, and thread in her hand. She was so near the prince now, and yet maybe would be soon far from him still. But she waited patiently, till a minute after noon, an old woman with big red nose appeared before her. The woman introduced herself as College Shron Mor Ruh. She made the same offer as the two before her. Ursula accepted with relief, and sure enough, when the queen paid her an early visit the next morning, there were a dozen fine shirts laying on the table. The wedding took place a few days later, and it was exceedingly grand. Ursula's mother was there along with the rest. At the wedding dinner, the queen could talk nothing but of the lovely shirts, and how happy she and the bride would be after the honeymoon, when they would be spinning and weaving and sewing shirts without end. The bridegroom didn't much like the conversation, and the bride liked it less. But before either could interject, a footman came up to the head of the table and said to the bride, "Your ladyship's aunt, College Cushmore, bade me ask if she might come in." The bride blushed and wished she were 7 miles under the floor, but she nodded, and the prince said, "Tell Mrs. Cushmore that any relation of my bride's will always be heartily welcome wherever she and I are." In came the woman with the big feet, and she got to a seat near the queen. But the queen, who didn't like the interruption, soon asked her spitefully, "Dear madam, what's the reason your foot is so big?" "Faith, your majesty," said College Cushmore, "I was standing almost all my life at the spinning wheel, and that's the reason." "I declare to you, my darling," said the prince, horrified, "I'll never allow you to spend 1 hour at the same spinning wheel." A little while later, the footman approached again and said, "Your ladyship's aunt, College Cromamor, wishes to come in, and if you have no objection." The prince and Ursula said she was welcome, and she took her seat and drank healths aplenty to the company. But after a minute the queen said, "May I ask, madam, why you're so wide halfway between the head and the feet?" "That, your majesty, is owing to sitting all my life at the loom," said College Cromamor. "By my scepter," said the prince, "my wife now shall never sit there an hour." Finally the footman approached again and said, "Your ladyship's aunt, College Shron Mor Ruh, is asking leave to come into the banquet." Again the bride and the bridegroom said she was welcome, and in came the old woman and settled herself at the table. "Madam," said the queen, "will you tell us, if you please, why your nose is so big and red?" "Troth, your majesty," My head was bent down over the stitching all my life, and all the blood in my body ran to my nose, said Colette Schronmora. My darling, said the prince in all seriousness to Ursula, if I ever see a needle in your hand, I'll run 100 miles from you. And in this way, the clumsy Ursula was relieved of spinning work for the rest of her life, and she and the prince were happily married at last. So, we have a story where we have a common girl that was met by a prince, and he fell in love with her and wanted to marry her. But she had to prove herself by spinning thread and turning them into shirts. Does this story sound familiar to you? Rumplestiltskin, yes. The little man Rumplestiltskin would come to the girl night after night. But instead of just being asked to be invited to the wedding, he asked for 3 different things. In some versions, 1. He finally asked the girl for her first child, which she agreed to because she really did want to marry the prince. But when the time came to give the baby, she ended up saying that she wanted to go back on that. Like, she loved the baby too much. No mother would give up her baby. These ladies were nice. They pretended to be her aunts. But did you notice that Ursula kept her promise? Sometimes we might be told or asked to make a promise. That means promise to do something, promise to say something, or to tell somebody you will do something, no matter what. And sometimes we don't want to fulfill that promise. But keep in mind that keeping our promise means a lot to somebody. And in this case, these 3 ladies were so grateful to Ursula that they got her out of looming and sewing and needling forever. She never had to worry ever again to be asked to make any shirts. And that made her very happy. Now, I gotta wonder though, do you think that Ursula ends up telling the prince about her clumsiness? Well, it's the end of the story now. That's definitely for you to decide. Alright, and at least for the time being, we will be going digital for our folktales. As long as we're doing folktales anyway. It's almost the beginning of summer. And for the summer, we may be doing something just a little different with the folktales. They'll still be tales. But I'll show you what different kind of tales I mean. Starting next week. It's a key secret right now, but I promise to reveal it next week. Alright, so the marker's next to tail. Let's put that. Get those check fingers out ready for me. 1, 2, 3, down and up. Check, check. And one more time, and then it's time to say farewell. It is now 11:03. Oh goodness. We have to change that little hand. Here we go. Move the red hand up to the 11. And the big hand's going to go right here. And it's still morning time, so we keep the A. Oh, speaking of clumsy, Miss Mithrill's just being absolutely clumsy today. All right, 11:03. There we are, analog and digital time. All right, friends, I hope you have a great weekend. Get out some of that Play-Doh. See if you can make some shapes yourself. Grab a good book. Don't forget to tell somebody that you care about, that you love them. It'll make you both feel great. I promise. This is Miss Mithril signing off, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends! Under the silvery moon.